Hello everyone, welcome to another one of my videos. We are going to be talking all about every single book that I read in the month of February, and let me tell you, it was such a good month. I mean, January was too, to be honest. So far this year, the books that I've been reading are top notch. And I'm looking at my husband and I'm going, people are going to start thinking that I just hand out 5-star books just for the fun of it. But you guys, really, I don't. I am actually very picky about my 5-star ratings on books, and I'm very excited because boy, do we have a journey. Also, I'm feeling very excited today because one, I got my hair cut, which I was in desperate need of. And second of all, I went and bought some new books, and nothing makes me feel better than a nice pampering and getting new books. Yes. So today has been epic, even though it's like raining outside, but we're not going to... That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That's out there. Okay, that's not in here. In this space, we are good. We are sunshine. We are roses. So we start out the month strong. Read Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is book 1. Book 2, The Ballad of Never After. And book 3, A Curse for True Love. Now, this is the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, and I read all 3 books back to back. And you guys, I absolutely loved this series. 4-star all the way. If you guys have read it and you're interested, I do have a vlog where I basically read all 3 books, and it's unfiltered, tons of spoilers. So definitely, if you haven't read it, I wouldn't watch that video if I were you. It had all of my thoughts and opinions as I was reading the series, and I absolutely loved this series. I can totally understand why people are hyping it up. For me, this was a solid 4-star read. I had an amazing time. This is definitely a YA series. It's about a girl, Evangeline Fox, who was in a relationship that something happened to it. So she made a bargain with the Prince of Hearts. His name is Jax, which is not something you ever want to do, but she did. A whole series of events happen. I think the start of this book happens, then all of the events of the Caraval series happen, and then it goes back into this after that. Now, I never read the Caraval series. I get asked a lot if it's necessary. I don't think it is. When I was reading it, there were parts in the story where if I would have read Caraval, I think I would have understood certain characters and certain events a little bit more. I wouldn't have been so much in the dark. But I personally liked that because Evangeline was also in the dark. It wasn't like knowledge that Evangeline already knew and just didn't share. No, everything that happened in Caraval, Evangeline didn't know about either. So I felt like I was learning things with her, and whatever it is that she didn't know or never did learn from the events that happened in Caraval was fine, because it just made me feel more in tune with Evangeline, and I personally like that. Now, if you're somebody who wants all the nuances, you want to be able to read a book and be able to recognize all the nuggets and things like that from other series, then yeah, I would suggest reading Caraval first. But personally, I loved being immersed in this. I loved being so connected with Evangeline, learning what she learned, knowing what she knew, not knowing what she didn't know. I know that there's other characters in here. There's a character in here named Apollo. Obviously, I don't want to give too much information, but a lot of people hated him. Honestly, I didn't hate him. I wasn't a fan, and I didn't really care about him, but I don't know. From people's reactions with Apollo, I was expecting him to have a bigger role than I think he honestly did. I was expecting something different, and it didn't happen that way, and I am so glad. I mean, that was my biggest hesitancy with reading this series, and I'm so glad that it ended up not being that way, and I'm just like, yes. Again, very, very good series. I mean, she's definitely kind of childish and makes some childish decisions and some dumb choices that have you going, what in the what? But this was a very good fantasy book. And honestly, in my opinion, if you're new to fantasy, I think that the Once Upon a Broken Heart series would be a great start to some fantasy romance if you're new in that genre. After that, I finished listening to Elven Doom, which is book 4 in the Death Before Dragons series. Like I've said in other videos, this is a re-listen. I have read them. My husband found them first on audiobook and he listened to them, and so then I found found them on Kindle Unlimited to read, and so I read them. And then since then, I have been listening to them in my reread, only listening to them, and I am loving them so much. I'm loving the audiobook. I did a video about my book boyfriends, and Zab is definitely on one of my top 10 book boyfriends. I absolutely love Zab. So basically, you got this girl. She is a human half elf. She served in the military for a while. Now she basically runs around and is part of this like contracted through the military type of thing, even though she's not part of the military anymore. And she basically takes care of magical beings that are, you know, hurting people, trolls that are eating humans, or goblins that are destroying people's personal property. And it's her job to go out and deal with them. While she's doing all of this, she's actually giving herself quite the reputation, and they call her the Ruin Bringer. And so the magical community doesn't really like her. So they're always trying to get rid of her, or when she has to question magical people, they don't want to have dealings with the Ruin Bringer. And so she's trying to better her reputation a little bit, especially after she meets Zav, who's a dragon. I don't want to call him a shapeshifter because he isn't. He is a dragon. It's just he's able to use his magic to transform himself into looking like different things. So like, especially when she meets him, she starts realizing just how important it is for him to see her as more than just this magical being assassin. She only hurts the magical people that deserve it, that are killing people. Absolutely hilarious. The banter between them. Val and Zav. Yes, please. I love them. And I love Val too. She goes through quite a lot. You kind of see her, even though she's an older MMC with a teenage daughter, you really see a lot of character growth with her at the start of these books. So many changes happen for her. And it's a really good story. The whole series overall is 5 stars. Each book individually, 5 stars. Elven Doom, 5 stars. I'm so glad that I'm re-listening to these books. They're like my happy place. Then we have Heavenly Bodies, and oh my gosh, did I love this book. Okay, this I picked for my bingo challenge for the month of February, and you guys, I loved this book. This was 5 stars all the way. I cannot wait to get into the next book because I absolutely must find out what happens. This book was unexpected for me, and it all revolves around this girl, Alara, who was told her fate when she was young. And that fate was that she was going to fall in love with the star, and that it was going to be the ruin of both of them. So because the star hears about this prophecy about how he was going to be destroyed because some girl falls in love with him, he comes down to Earth and he kills her entire family. And so she ends up on the run, and a neighboring kingdom they've been at war basically strikes up a bargain. Their kingdom wants to take out the stars. And so as the only person who has survived an attack from the stars and seems to be kind of immune to their powers, they want her help to basically destroy the stars. The son of the king gets tasked with teaching her to fight and to learn more about her powers so that she'll be able to fight these stars, all while trying to stay under the radar so that the star that's after her doesn't know where she's at. It's just a really, really good book. And the romances between her and the prince, like the whole time I'm reading this, I'm thinking, well, where does this star come in that she's supposed to be destined to fall in love with? You know, I mean, I know like the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, there was a kind of like a prophecy for Jax as well. And then you learn towards the end that the prophecy its meaning was way different than what it sounded like. So it's very, prophecies in general, in every book, every movie, can be interpreted so many different ways. So when they say she falls in love, does she like fall in love? Like, I don't know, right? Like, what's the interpretation for this? Because I feel like the romance is between her and the prince, but if she's supposed to be destined to fall in love with the star, like, how's it even gonna happen? Like, the star killed her entire family. How is she gonna fall in love with that? There's more books in this series. I can't wait to read more of it and find out what happens. Is definitely landed on a cliffhanger. Oh no, what? So like, girl, we gotta read the next book. We do. Next we have Glow, and this is book 2 in the Kindred's Curse saga, and we need to talk about this book. Okay, the book 1 was Spark of the Everflame, and it was one of my favorite books. I I can't remember if it was just a 5-star or if it was a God tier book. I can't remember. I remember just absolutely loving it so much. So I was super excited, high hopes going in with this book, and then it just tanked. I did end up giving it a 4-star because it was an enjoyable book. It really was. It was jam-packed full of action, and it had a lot of stuff going on. When they mean slow burn in this series, you guys, they mean slow burn. Okay, the main character girl, she pissed me off. How dumb can you be? She was literally like, you've got this guy who is pretty much giving everything of himself to help her and to be there for her. She doesn't trust him, yet she's choosing to trust the word of some strange man that she's never met before a day in her life, who is also one of the Descended. Why can she trust this Descended that she doesn't even know, and who she is even herself said that he's got agendas, but yet she can't trust the Descended that has done nothing but help her and be there for her and sacrifice for her? And she's just like, can't trust you, nope, can't trust you. I'm just going, really? I get that this book was necessary. Like, she is going through a lot. She's going through some serious life changes. Things are different. So she had to go through this process. She had to learn to accept who she is now and let go of the person she was, because she'll never be able to go back there again. I know some of the choices that she was making was based on that need to hold on to a past that's not there anymore. When I can think of it that way, I can kind of understand a little bit where she's coming from. For what it was an enjoyable book. It definitely was jam-packed full of action and suspense, and you're learning and growing with her. But again, like I said, the slow burn, her stupid choices, that was a little frustrating for me, which is why it wasn't as good as the first book. And I am a little hesitant with book 3, because when Heat came out, it was like Heat of the Everflame or something like that, I think is book 3, and people read it. There was mutiny. So many people were so mad because apparently the slow burn between the FMC and MMC is still chaotic and a mess, and they're still not together. And I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't feel like I'm giving spoilers because I don't actually know. This is just rumors that I've heard. And so it has me kind of hesitant. It's like, if book 3 is going to be like, just like this one, I might have a hard time. I mean, this book took me a week and a half to read because I struggled. I found myself getting bored. I found myself getting frustrated. I found myself waking up going, I want to read, but I don't want to read this book. So it did pick up towards the end, which is, again, another reason why I ended up giving it 4 stars instead of lower. In the first half of the book, honestly, I was thinking, okay, this is a 2-star book, but it started picking up more towards the end. It wasn't as good as Spark of the Everflame. That's just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Didn't live up to the potential of its book 1. And you know what? Sometimes that happens, and that's a gamble you take when you're reading series. Like, I have read so many where book 1 was like of epic proportions, and then I started reading other books, and I'm just going, really? And if you haven't read Spark of the Everflame, it's basically about a girl named Diem who is a human. She lives in this world of humans and descendants. Descendants are basically descendants of like these gods and humans mixed, and so they have powers and stuff, and so they kind of see them as the superior being. Humans are kind of repressed, and so humans resent them. There's this whole war that wants to rage where the humans are getting tired of being repressed by the descended. Her mom in book 1 disappears, and there's this whole mystery revolved around that. So book 1 is all about her trying to figure out what happened to her mom, why did she disappear, and as she's doing this, her life is being opened up to this whole new world with all this other new stuff and these new people and new mysteries. There's so much more, but again, I can't say it without giving it away. And if you're really into very slow burn books, like very slow burn, I mean, you might enjoy Glow. Then I read A Curse of Shadows and Ice, and I did talk about this a little bit in one of my other videos, and I absolutely enjoyed this. This is definitely like a Beauty and the Beast retelling type story. I gave this one a 4-star. It was a good time. It was cute. It gave me all the cute little feels. I mean, it was a very predictable story. I mean, obviously it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so you can kind of assume that you know what's going to happen. You might not know why the certain choices are going to be made, but you do know that they're going to be made. So it was predictable. but it was still a really good time and I enjoyed it. And I loved how they told the tale. They definitely made it different than Beauty and the Beast, but yet at the same time, you could get the same kind of vibes. I mean, like, I've read a lot of Beauty and the Beast retelling books, and I've not been a fan of hardly any of them, but surprisingly enough, I loved this one. And this is one that I would definitely even reread. And there is more books coming out in the series, and they're going to be about different characters. But in this one, you have Felix, and he's the beast, and his mother cursed him and his land, and so everything is dying. And so to keep saving his people, he keeps going around and conquering other lands so that he can get more crops and more food so that his people won't starve to death, because his country is in a world of ice and snow. You can't grow any crops or anything because it's just winter all the time. You don't see the sun, it's dark. That's just kind of the life that they're living in. And he gets told by a magic mirror that there's a girl, Arabella, who is set to break this 200-year curse, because yeah, he's like 200 years old. So he goes to her kingdom, which, you know, because he can leave his kingdom for a little bit, but he can't be gone long because of the curse. But he goes and he takes her and forces a marriage. I'm going to marry your daughter, or I'm going to take your kingdom. Basically, they get married and he pretty much kidnaps her, takes her to his kingdom. And so, of course, things are rocky there for a little bit, you know, even though he's really nice. He's been nicer to her than anybody has in her life. She didn't have a good life in her kingdom where she was at. It didn't take much for her to realize that she's happier where she's at now, and she has freedoms and she's accepted for who she is because she has magic. Where she was from, magic wasn't okay. Magic bad. Magic bad. Magic's really bad. And with Felix, no, magic's not bad, and your magic's gonna save us, so let's learn how to use it. And then they fall in love with each other, and so it's just all sorts of magic and forced marriage and proximity. It was a really good book. It's kind of a smaller book, and a lot happened in it, so it was, in my opinion, it was kind of fast-paced because it had a lot to share. Then I read Daggermouth, and I read that on my Kindle. I couldn't find it anywhere else. This was a pick that my book club chose. I found it on Kindle Unlimited, and I was able to read it that way. Honestly, when it was time to do a poll and pick our books, I did not vote for this one. I read the back of it, and it didn't sound interesting to me. I hadn't heard anybody talking about it, but supposedly a lot of people are talking about it. I just personally hadn't heard it. I was not looking forward to reading this book, and I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised. This book ended up being a 4.5 star. It was amazing. It was incredible. You've got this girl who is basically an assassin, and she gets assigned to kill this guy who's kind of like the executioner. He is forced to be the executioner by his father, who's like the king of this town. He is very strict, and he enforces all these stupid rules, like you can't fall in love with somebody outside of your area, like the city's separated by rings, and so someone in ring 1 can't fall in love with someone from ring 2, and if you do, then that's a death sentence immediately. Basically, this guy is being forced to be the executioner, even though he doesn't agree with these laws. He has no choice. He's kind of trying to fight the system in the best way that he can without his father knowing and finding out, so he finds his own ways to kind of rebel. This assassin gets assigned to kill him and fails. They get this bright idea that she's going to end up marrying him in a whole ploy or plot to try to get the city under one agreement. Like if they could see someone who's, you know, part of the Daggermouths, which is like the assassins organization, and have been a thorn in the side to the leaders for like ever. If they could get one of their Daggermouths to marry into the ring, it would show even the Daggermouths could be tamed, right? It's supposed to show a sign. Before they get married, they get forced to basically live together to get to know each other. It's funny how they try to kill each other so many times. Like literally, you guys, this is a true enemies to lovers right here. Like he stabs her, she shoots him, then they end up living together and they're like trying to kill each other more. It was a really, really good book. However, the ending, you guys, the last page of the book, or the last 2 pages of the book, something really bad happens to one of my personally favorite characters, and I am mad. Now, there's a chance that they can undo what they did, because they don't like, something happens, but they don't describe it 100%. And like, I don't want to give anything away, but there could be a chance, but I highly doubt it. I am really mad about it. Like, so epically mad, so mad that I don't, despite how much I loved book 1, I don't know if I want to read book 2, because no. And also, this book is a dual POV. You have like 4 or 5 different POVs. It kind of reminds me of the Throne of Glass series in a way. You're going to be in the perspective of several different people. So it's not just 1 or 2, but like several. It seems like there's different romances going on. The ending of Daggermouth was like, what the... I couldn't believe it. Hello. Biggest cliffhanger of all the books I've read so far. I would say Daggermouth is the most shocking ending of a book that I have read in 2026 so far. Like, that ending was just, what the F? After that, I went directly into Firebird by Juliet Cross. This book has been on my TBR for a while. This is one of the books I picked up because I was drawn in by the cover. I'd never heard of it. Oh my gosh, it sounded so good. I gave this book a 4.5 stars. That's how good it was. It was incredible. Now, some things happened in this book that I was not expecting. It definitely has quite a bit of a slave/master trope scenario, which I did not get that from reading The Exempt or anything like that, and I wasn't necessarily a fan of that. Other than that, it was really good. It's like set in the Roman times, and you have this girl who's basically like a gypsy. She's a dancer. She meets this dragon commander. They kind of hit it off right away, but then they go their separate ways, and they don't see each other for a long time. I think like 6-7 years go by, and then suddenly they see each other again across the battlefield from each other on opposite sides. His dragon recognizes her right away as his, and like his treasure, and so he immediately shifts into his dragon form right then and there, and then sweeps her off, takes her away. And in order to keep her safe from his corrupt king of an uncle who is just power hungry, terrorizing the world and killing everything, he makes her his slave, because he knows that the minute anybody learns just how important she is to him, he's signing her death warrant, and possibly his too. He hides her out, all the while trying to build this rebellion against his uncle, get rid of his evil reign. Again, it was a very good book. I just wasn't expecting the slave master scenario, and I wasn't a huge fan of that. I will admit, in my head, reading The Exempt and stuff, I was expecting something very much different. I was expecting more adventure, questing, and things like that. So I guess it kind of disappointed me when it didn't end up being that way. The next book I read, The King of Frost and Shadows. This was just a random book I saw on Amazon one day, and I was like, oh, that sounds cute. So let's get that book. And this is book 1 in the Faded to Darkness trilogy. You guys, I love it. I love it. 5 stars. This was my 3rd 5-star book for February. I loved it immediately. So you have Lyra, who's a lost princess of the Seelie Fae Court. And then you got Tavish, who is the prince of Unseelie Court. Actually ends up becoming the king, because the Seelie king and queen murder his parents and almost succeed in murdering him. After the events of that happen, like, years go by, and Tavish has been looking for Lyra forever, and finally finds her hiding out in the human world. And because she'd been there for so long, she lost her memories, so she had no idea who she was, who her parents were. She doesn't remember anything from the age of 10 and lower. He basically kidnaps her out of the human world, brings her to the Unseelie Court, where he tells her that he's going to use her blood to open a portal, the ability for his people to leave. Because, like, the Seelies, after killing his parents, basically subjugated the Unseelie Court and the people into this small little area where they are practically starving to death. There's not enough food to feed everybody. He needs to get out, and so he wants to use her blood and basically kill her to do that. However, he's drawn to her. When they were children, she was actually promised to him that they were going to get married, and they were going to combine the Unseelie and the Seelie through their marriage. But then after his parents were murdered, she was then promised to a dragon prince instead, which again, nothing must have happened there. I don't know. We don't really know much about what happened or why she ended up in the human realm. Did like her parents send her there? Did she run away? I don't have all the facts. This is just book one. There's still a lot of information that's unknown that I'll have to figure out as we get into more books. But yeah, this was really good. She tries to escape and he's trying to keep her safe, but at the same time, he's like, I'm gonna be the only one that's gonna kill you. I'm gonna be the only one that kills you. And she's just like, so I'm supposed to be happy that you're protecting me? And what? So you can kill me? Like, do you not expect me to try to run away? And she does. She tries to run away. And then because his people are so pissed off and want her head immediately in order to appease them so that they don't try to dethrone him, he ends up putting her in games along with the other prisoners, and she has to survive to the end. And if she does, then he can kill her later so that he can save his people. Such a good book. Such an amazing story. I was a little hesitant. Like, it sounded good, but I was going, okay, you know, I could see this 3, possibly 4-star. It'll be a cute little fantasy romance read, and yeah, but no, 5 stars. 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. Hoo yeah, baby. Give me book 2 immediately. I need it. I need it now. And then the last book I read was Wild Irish Heart by Tricia O'Malley. I hope I'm saying her name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. I'm horrible with names, you guys. I'm horrible with names. Anyways, this book was a 2-star. I loved the story. The story in and of itself was good. It definitely had all the Irish feels, the Irish magic. You know, she's a girl who was taken from Ireland when she was little, but she's always felt the call to go back. And so she eventually does. She meets her grandma who teaches her about her abilities to heal, like healing magic and stuff. And then she meets this guy. It's all sweet and everything. It really is, but I hated the writing style. Oh man, it was rough for me. The grammar was good. The spelling was good. It was just how the story was written. It's one of those things that's really, really hard to explain. Like, you know it's there. You can sense it when you're reading it, but you're just like, what? Like, I don't know if it was just its need to over-explain or the fact that it felt like it was just all over the place. We're here, we're here, we're here, we're here. She'll be here, and then squirrel, and then she'll be back to here again. And then it just gets all sorts of discombobulating and confusing. And I'm just going, what? And so because of that, and only because of that, it got a 2-star. But she makes friends and she falls in love with a man that he's been seeing her in dreams pretty much his whole life, and he's always struggled in relationships because he's always been comparing these women to this woman that he's always been seeing in his head, and then he sees her in real life. Boy, was that a shock for him, especially for a guy who doesn't believe in magic. I mean, you kind of got to, when you literally, the woman you've been dreaming about your whole life is suddenly there. How could you not believe in magic after that? I mean, I'm just saying. Yeah, it was a good book. It was cute, and for what it was, like, it is part of a series. I think there's 3 books. Actually, no, there's 12 books in this series. But you guys, honestly, I don't know if I will. I think that this will definitely be a series that I'm DNFing. I don't think I'll be picking up any of the other books. I mean, granted, yes, the writing style could get better, so I mean, who knows, maybe I might give it a couple more books, but if it still continues to be the same, then I don't know. But yeah, that was the book that I read at the end. I had like 3 days until the end of February, and honestly, I thought that I wasn't going to be finished with the book until we got into March, and so I was like, okay, you know, that could kind of go as a March book. But it was a very small book. I think it was like 160 pages, and so it was very small, and I read it in like a day. It's like, okay, we're reading some March and February. I like it. I like it a lot. I can do it. Who says I can't? Anyways, right? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm curious, what books did you guys read in February? Did you guys have like a really good reading month where, you know, you had like a bunch of like 5-star books, or was it are you kind of in a reading slump? I know one of my best friends, she's in a major reading slump right now, so she's having difficulties getting through books. How has your guys' year been going so far in books? Let me know down in the comments below. And hey, if you've watched all the way to the end so far, you guys might as well stick around, hit that subscribe button, become one of my book nerdies. I am looking for people who nerd out on books as much as I do, who could sit there and just talk about books all day and talk about the characters. And yeah, so I'm looking to build a community of book nerds right here on this channel. So I hope you guys stick around and chat with me. And yeah, and if you have any book recommendations that I haven't talked about yet, let me know those down in the comments below too. I am rebuilding some of my TBR shelf, so maybe I'll add them to my list. I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your week and happy March. I'll see you guys in my next video.